In December 2017, Saudi newspaper Al Riyadh published a video of the group The Deterrent Force showing Saudi Arabia under an Iranian attack. In the bizarre animation, Saudi Arabia eventually triumphs over Iran thanks to its powerful military force. Although Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman has claimed not to be behind this nationalist Saudi group, for its publication the video must have been at least approved by the Saudi authority. Saudi rhetoric against Iran has always been belligerent, but this propaganda video reflects Mohammed bin Salman's newly hawkish policy against Iran, stepping up the hostility between the two countries since his rise in power in 2015. The two countries are not at war yet, but already for decades they have been fighting for regional hegemony. Instead of engaging in an open warfare, their strategy is to enact their rivalries, confronting themselves indirectly on multiple levels over ideological, geopolitical and economic influence in neighbouring countries. But in order to understand this complex situation, we have to go back to the roots of this modern crisis. Saudi Arabia and Iran have never been the only actors in this struggle. During the 60s and the 70s, the US carried out the so-called Twin Pillars policy, promoting close relations with both Iran and Saudi Arabia, seen as the two guardians who would safeguard American interests in a region in turmoil. This policy came to an end in 1979, a year that represented a turning point for both countries. In Iran, Ayatollah Khomeini led a popular revolution which overthrew the pro-Western monarchy of Shah Pahlavi and established an Islamic republic. The new regime enshrined anti-imperialism and anti-colonialism as its core values and called for independence from foreign powers. Moreover, it prepared the ground for continuing the revolution at home and abroad.
انقلاب کرد و اینطوری که ایران در الان هم حاضر برای همه چیز است ملت‌های خودتون را بیدار کنید.
Obviously, Saudi Arabia, which is an absolute monarchy, perceived Iran's revolutionary agenda as an attempt to expand its influence. In 1979, another internal event undermined the monarchy's authority. A group of Islamic extremists seized the Grand Mosque in Mecca for 2 weeks, openly calling for a revolution against the Saudi monarchy. As a reaction, the Saudi regime quashed the rebellion and started to impose a stricter religious control on the population, giving more power to its religious ulema. The Islamization of Saudi society happened while Iran was turning into a theocratic regime. But while Khomeini in Iran established a Shia government, Saudi Arabia promoted Wahhabism, an extreme branch of Sunnism. After 1979, tension between Iran and Saudi Arabia arose, as Iran promoted the model of an autonomous country and Saudi Arabia defended the status quo of its monarchy aligned with foreign powers. The collapse or the weakening of the state authority in various countries of the Middle East has provided a stage for Iran and Saudi Arabia's fight for regional influence. Each one provided support to opposing sides in nearby conflicts and have endorsed political leaders and parties for their own ideological and economic interests. This strategy has been defined as proxy warfare. We can see this in Iraq, which acted as a buffer state between Saudi Arabia and Iran. The US invasion in 2003 overthrew Saddam Hussein, but left no alternative government. Thus, Iraq descended into a bloody civil war. The population splintered into several Sunni and Shia militia groups, fighting against each other. Iran exploited the civil war by financing and training Shia militias, while Saudi Arabia seemed to be involved in financing Sunni militias. This trend continued when in 2011 the Arab region was destabilized by a wave of popular uprisings called the Arab Spring, which demanded regime change and more social and civil rights. Again, the two countries supported opposing sides according to their interests. When Syria descended into civil war in 2011, Iran allied with Russia in support of the Assad government, while Saudi Arabia financed Sunni extremist rebel groups. Fast forward to 2015, while civil wars continue to engulf the region, two important political events have further escalated the tension between Iran and Saudi Arabia. As the power struggle unfolded, generally the international community has favored Saudi Arabia and obstructed Iran's growth through the imposition of economic sanctions. But something started to change when in 2015 the Obama administration took the lead in driving the international community toward a diplomatic rapprochement with Iran.
David, last year, none of our nations have an interest in conflict with Iran. We welcome an Iran that plays a responsible role in the region, one that takes concrete practical steps to build trust and resolve.
On the 14th of July of 2015, Iran signed a so-called nuclear deal with the P5+1 and the European Union. The deal lifted the sanctions against Iran in exchange for denuclearization. But Saudi Arabia opposed the agreement, perceiving the international rapprochement and potential rise of Iran's economic power as a threat to its interests in the region. As a result, Saudi-Iranian relations worsened. At the same time, a new figure was rapidly rising in power within the Saudi monarchy, Mohammed bin Salman. The young prince started to use a far more aggressive policy against Iran. In 2015, he started a military campaign in Yemen targeting the Houthis, a Shia rebel militia group. Mohammed bin Salman justified the attack, accusing Iran of financing the Houthis in order to expand its influence in Saudi Arabia's nearest country. Mohammed bin Salman's new policy line found US President Donald Trump a major supporter. Not only he withdrew from the nuclear deal to the delight of Saudi Arabia, but he also bolstered American military and financial support of the kingdom.
$3 million, $533 million, $525 million. That's peanuts for you. Should have increased.
This is one of the latest episodes in the Saudi-Iranian feud, which has worsened the regional crisis and contributed to the destabilization of the Middle East. Far from producing tangible gains in the power struggle, proxy wars have brought destruction, famine, the displacement of millions, and death of thousands of people. It's impossible to predict how this rivalry will evolve, but recent frictions have brought the two countries on the brink of a war. In the worst-case scenario, if a conflict erupts, it's certain that it will have catastrophic consequences for everyone involved.